It's Tuesday night, 10 p.m., and this is the C3 Podcast.
I guess you've heard of my reputation. Had my share of fooling around. But everybody needs stimulation.
I had fun, man. Just out, the guys joking. We working at the same time. Putting the work in as a team. Like I said, man, I'm just glad to be with the guys.
My favorite night of the week.
Good Lord, it's a good day to be a Panthers fan. And we the best. You heard them. You heard them say it. We are the best, Joe. And we put it on them mugs. It's right in their mouth. Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You check us out every Tuesday night at 10 p.m., chopping up the latest Panther news and opinions from the fan perspective. Do it each and every week with my homeboys. I got my friends from the low country, that freaking Puerto Rican, Joe Riolano. How's it going?
Tony, it is going so well. The Panthers have a win, so the week cannot get any better until Clemson plays again on Saturday. So anyway, it's all good here. I'm glad it's Tuesday night. I get to be on with my homeboys, talk some Carolina Panthers football. We got lots to talk about tonight, folks. Some really interesting things going on with Carolina, Cam Newton in particular. Mel, it's good to have you back on. The show is only that much better when you're on with us. How things going there in sunny Las Vegas?
Oh, well, thank you, Joe. Yeah, things are great out west, man, and nothing is better than when Carolina wins. Nothing could be finer than when the Panthers win a football game. That's all I got to say. Let's get to it.
All right. Well, tonight's show is Put a Feather in Carolina's Cap. We got a W, and this is episode 16.39. We're about to hit 40 next week, fellas, on our way to 52. Rocking and rolling. Haven't missed an episode, and I got to say, it feels good. It feels good to get a W. It feels so good.
Feels like 2015, doesn't it?
God, it looked like it for a little while. So tonight, guys, on tonight's show, we'll be looking into the game, see what Carolina was able to do coming off the bye week. Ron Rivera's second consecutive win off of a bye. The ship has been righted by the coaching staff. The team has responded. It was an amazing time. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about where did the poo hat go? Joe, I'm going to go ahead and ask, where did the poo hat go?
It has gone back into the dark abode that is my closet. Is
that the way you put it?
Until we have consecutive losses again. Once we get if we have consecutive losses, I will be going and spelunking and bringing it out.
Excellent. We also are going to be talking about the Cam Newton issues. There's more news every week. There's news about Cam Newton. We're going to talk about the resurgence of the Carolina Panthers pass rush and see if we can keep things rolling against. I think we're going out your way, Mel. I had hoped to attend this game, but after the tough start and then the ridiculous financial cost that would incur to go because of trying to make arrangements not only for my children and all of this and other expenses, I decided instead to wait it out and go to the Chargers game with you.
Right on, brother. No, I hear you.
So that's what I'm going to be doing. All right, so we're going to be talking about all that plus much more. We've got fan questions coming in the email. We've got the Twitter line rolling. We've got people on YouTube already talking. So we're excited. So before we do that, I'd like to remind everybody, you can really help the C3 Podcast and Panther Nation grow by going ahead and giving the show a share. If you're watching right now, if you're watching later, hit the thumbs up button, give us a share. That helps the most. You can like us on iTunes or subscribe on iTunes, wherever you get your podcast in case you cannot watch on YouTube. Sometimes it's better to listen than to see. In our case, and I speak specifically for me. But on top of that, I would like to also ask or put out there, if you do enjoy the show and enjoy what we do at CarolinaCatChronicles.com, you can help support us and continue to help us grow. Things like support the website, keep the podcast hosting sites running, as well as try to track down some of these interviews that we sometimes are able to land. So you can do that really simply by clicking on our Patreon link in the show notes or on the support on YouTube. It's just a little as $1 a month can really help. And we appreciate everybody that has. So without further ado, guys, let's talk about this. The Panthers host the Arizona Cardinals in a rematch of the NFC Championship, and it really kind of just turned out that way. 14-0 in the beginning in the first quarter. Panthers came out, got off to that fast start that Ron Rivera mentioned. Joe, how exciting was it to see that start? Did you have a good feeling? I mean, obviously you had to have a good feeling, but what'd you think about that?
I was happy, a bit shocked because all season we've been talking about doing these things, but we had not executed, and to see Thomas say the scoop and score, that was awesome, even though it was let's be honest, the rest blew it. They totally blew it.
Can y'all believe that's his first touchdown ever?
I know, 13 seasons, and it's his first score. Isn't that nuts?
And it was undeserved.
And it wasn't a touchdown.
Hey, I wasn't going to say anything. When you're on a 4-game skid, you take
whatever the breaks you can get. Yeah, for sure. But it was exciting. And I think it really got the team pumped up. I know the defense really that really put a charge into the defense, and it carried the team throughout the game.
Mel, I know you were excited about this game. You were watching from the other side of the country. Were you as excited as I was?
Dude, I was over the top, man. It seems like last year all the breaks went our way. So far this year, all the breaks have gone against us. But for one Sunday, one moment in time, and let's face it, we were playing a pretty daggone good team. This is a team that before the season they said we're circling the Carolina game. We owe them something. They were coming in,
and people were picking them over us, as in rankings.
Yeah, they had a 3-game winning streak going. They had 2 games where they hadn't given up a touchdown. Period. They were rolling in with the number 1 running back or the number 2 running back in the league. Yeah, hey man, the breaks went our way. It was awesome. There was
a certain number 58 that picked the Cardinals to beat the Panthers last week.
I will take credit for that because I finally broke down and bought myself a Thomas Davis jersey, and it came like 2 days before the game. I wore it, and we won, so I'll be wearing this for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm. Who was it that you picked to win this game, Mel?
Well, see, I told you. I said I was trying to turn the mojo around. And guess who I'll be picking this week? I'm keeping with tradition now. If all it takes
hocus pocus superstition.
If all it takes is me picking against the Panthers for the Panthers to win, I'm doing it again until it doesn't happen.
I'm fine with it. Keep rolling with it, brother. If it works, let's keep rolling with it.
Stick with it.
All right. You think when you get out to a 14-0 start that the story would be about the offense. This story in this game, for really the entire game, other than Jonathan Stewart on offense, was the Panthers' defense. Well, I won't say that. I'm going to give the first half to the defense, the second half to the Panthers' offense.
Okay.
The defense swarmed. We saw a pass rush finally come back. And it looked like the 2015 pass rush. You had guys flying off the outside. I saw Coney Ely in this game.
I didn't even know he played for us anymore.
I didn't either. I thought he retired.
Yeah. There was a Coney Ely sighting. Yes, there was.
Unbelievable.
So the pressure did, while the ends did generate the pressure, the bulk of the pass rush came where we expected.
Mm-hmm. Short. And Latulele was everywhere. He was constantly on the other side of the ball.
3 sacks.
Lynn on Twitter says she had almost forgotten what a pass rush. It was a thing of beauty.
Right on, Susan.
That guy, Ayupati, Mike Ayupati, I think his name is, that was the guard that was trying to block Lachulule. And short, they were having his lunch all day long.
He played more like Mike.
They shat on that potty.
Yeah, he played like Mike. I've got to go potty.
Yeah,
they you know what? When it was all over, he had poo on his head.
That's where the poo hat went. Oh,
potty poo. I have potty poo. You know, that it was like we saw. Mario on YouTube says Charles Johnson looked 5 years younger.
Yes.
He was playing tough. I think I saw Ely coming off the left side one time. And I don't know if he's just been struggling against left tackles or what it may be, but the one time I really saw him get effectively after the quarterback or make a play, he was coming off the left, it looked. You know, I heard that Starr, I mean, he had 3 sacks in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2.5 or 3, something like that, yeah.
Most in his career at any level in one game.
You know what it is? He tuned in last week to the C3 podcast, and he heard that the Panthers actually have over $20 million in cap space. And he's like, I got a contract coming up. Let me
Let me see if I can get some of that money.
Yeah.
Star's light was shining bright for sure. Other notes I had from this is the Panthers got ahead early, but what I liked was that they stayed aggressive. Up 21 in the first half, they go for it on fourth and one.
I like that.
That was critical to me. I thought that we could have seen a reversion at that moment to the old Ron Rivera. But these guys they were trying not to just win this game at that point. Once they started hot, I think the coaching staff committed to making this a statement game.
And let's face it, guys, you had Robert McClain and Worley as your cornerbacks going up against a very high-powered offense.
And both of them, I thought, played very well.
Yeah.
Both of them played very well, I thought. Especially in particular McClain.
McClain was awesome. He was really good.
He was
Worley,
everywhere.
You texted
the best game.
Yeah. I mean, one of you guys texted me during the game, said Worley was looking really good. He saved that one touchdown to Fitzgerald.
Yeah, Worley looked good. He's come, in a short period of time, I feel like he's made some pretty good strides. You know, by no means has he arrived. By no means am I saying that.
No, because I wanna caution everybody, because a lot of people, I got an email from Smoke Wagon. Man, I emailed a tweet today. I said, tell you, have patience. This guy's going to turn it on midseason. I hope he does. But let's not act like, well, I'm not saying you guys are, but let's not count our chickens before they hatch.
Right.
Because there were times where he didn't make the best of plays.
Right.
But what we're seeing is that mental fatigue, the challenge midseason, and the criticism led by Tony Dunn. You know, he's battled through it, and he had a good game. Let's see if he can build and capitalize upon that. I want to ask you about this while we're on the secondary. There were times in that game that they looked confused. Both touchdown passes were blown secondary plays, as in blown. They just, like, everybody crashed to the inside. I think that they said that was on Kirk Coleman. I was messaging you, Mel, who was that on, because a guy was supposed to drop back. They looked confused there. Another play, Luke Kuechly was screaming at Trey Boston to get in the right position. And Trey Boston was just turned around trying to figure out what the heck he was supposed to do. And then we also saw, Mel, you referenced the stats in this game. How many passing yards was Arizona able to put up?
Passing yards, they had 316 to our 208.
Wow.
Now, a lot of that is prevent defense, let them take this, but they did move the ball in the air in the second half.
But listen to this. You got 316 to 208, but when you go to yards per pass, 5.9 for Arizona, 7.4 for Carolina.
Right.
They took a lot of underneath stuff, and that's what we were giving them. I will say this: their offense looked most effective when they were doing the hurry up. when they didn't allow Carolina to bring in, to move their players in and out of the game, is when the Cardinals' offense was most effective. But, they can't run that pace the entire game, and that's just where they came up short.
But you're absolutely right. But where Carolina did the best is they held David Johnson, who is absolutely a stud, to 24 yards. Oh, David Gettleman. Hold on.
Dave Gettleman calling. He did not call any teams today, but he called Mel. I mentioned this is that trade deadline passed today at 4 p.m. Carolina inactive in anything.
In a big way. Inactive in a big way.
Yeah. So, I got other things that stood out to me in this game, other than secondary being confused here. And then when they were going all pass, you could see that in the second half, our pass rush was not what it was in the first half of the game, right? I mean,
because we changed our scheme. We went to prevent. We wanted to stop giving up the big plays. We started dropping.
Right. They're running no backs. They're running no back sets. You think you can get some pressure on with four guys.
I know. I hated it. But what we started doing is dropping everybody and rushing three.
Right. We did take our foot off the gas a little bit in regards to the pass rush. We did. A lot of the pressure we were generating was from blitzes, was with the help of blitzes. Not solely, but we did blitz a pretty good amount.
But I tell you guys, the biggest things that stood out to me in this game, 2 stats. One, we protected the quarterback. We gave up one sack for 4 yards. We got 8 sacks for 47 yards. And then the other thing is we were much, much more disciplined. How many times have we talked about that this year? Stupid penalties. Mm-hmm. We had a couple of those. We had 5 penalties for 40 yards, but the Cardinals had 10 penalties for 88 yards. That was the difference in the ballgame, those 2 stats alone.
That's a huge stat. You're absolutely right. There was one point where it was like 2nd and 44 for Arizona because they had gotten penalty after penalty after penalty, like 3 in a row.
Yep.
And they were just in a hole. I think they actually had started the drive on the Panthers side of the field, and by the time the penalties were all assessed, they were back at like their 30-yard line or something crazy like that.
That one, they had a 3rd and 44.
It was 2nd and 44 at one point. Yeah, and then went to 3rd and 44. Yeah, it was pretty.
Here's the thing: and I'm gonna throw on my Cam Newton defense cap, and that is what would people have said about Cam Newton's level of frustration had he had drawn that penalty by yelling at the refs in mid-game to get a 2nd and 44. They would have criticized his leadership. They would have criticized his composure. Right. I don't know if they're doing that about Carson Palmer. But here, look, Joe Person just put out a story here. Interesting, because we'll have some things to say about him. He says this. The title of the story is Panthers pass rush came alive with aggressive scheme, fresh blitzer, and a new spot for Coney Ely. He's talking about how the scheme helped the blitz, but then he's talking about the Leonard Johnson effect, where blitz. I don't feel, though, that he was more aggressive in this game. I felt like we've had to bring a ton of safety and corner blitzes and linebacker blitzes. I think in the beginning we were getting pressure, but with the front four, he did note, though, that fewer reps for Ely with a bigger impact. He played both sides this time, just like I mentioned, and that seemed to help. While he didn't get a sack, he was around the quarterback a lot.
Yeah, and he made
an interception. That was huge
at the end. Yeah.
So speaking of who he referenced, Leonard, the man in pants Johnson, he was excited to be on the field.
Mm-hmm. He really was. You could tell.
He played with, he was not perfect in that game. He took a couple of bad angles, but he did bring a new element to that Panthers secondary, a little more consistency, I felt like. And maybe he's the reason that Sean McDermott could become a little bit more aggressive or creative in that effect. You know, to me, while I'm excited about Leonard Johnson and helping, clearly he's not a savior. And what I'm asking is this, is why didn't Dave Gettleman, where was this type of addition in the interim period? Why is he the only one? Look, we see how good you put a couple of leaders with some guys with some experience around the young guys, and it helps. I guess better late than never.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's it. It's in a nutshell. So you can say, why didn't he? Well, he didn't, but we've got some help now, and it's helping. So let's be appreciative for that, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it comes down to, I mean, really is down to execution and game planning. You know, I mean, actually getting it done. We do have a lot of talent. This team went 15-1.
Right. You're right.
Yeah. It's about executing.
You're right.
It is. And, you know, I tweeted during the game, and a lot of people, I didn't think it was ultimately as well received by some people as I thought it was going to be, but I think it was pretty simple, is that the only difference in this Panthers game from the other games this season, other than the score in some cases, is just that the Panthers offensive line protected Cam and the defensive line got pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, same players, same plays, same strategy. I didn't see very much different other than, like you're saying, Mel, that's just simple execution.
Yeah.
Shaked says effort. You know, I think that sometimes our guys try too hard, in effect. As you can see, Luke Kuechly over pursue. But let's give some props to Graham Gano. Making kicks.
No, you did.
I did.
That's what he gets paid for.
No, he did. Yeah.
Well, it helped. It helped to have that, you know. The other thing that I took note of this is how excited I was about this win. I have a moment in this game where I think it shows the level of desperation and excitement put together. We go up 24-0 in the first half. We're going to kick off, and I'm watching the game by myself on Sunday. My kids are elsewhere. My wife was elsewhere, and it was just me and the quiet. You know, the best possible way, the most focused watch you can get for a game.
Yeah.
And we score a field goal, go up 24-0, and I literally, and I'm telling you, it was genuine. It was almost like kind of a burst, like where an uncontrolled spasm of the mouth where you just blurt out something.
You're speaking.
And I said, onside kick. Like I was like, I was like, do it. I mean, I was serious, and I heard myself saying it, and I was like, man, this is where I'm at right now.
Yes, I like it.
Onside kick, 24-0. I want this win so bad. I wanted to beat them 120-0.
Put the hammer down. Put their foot on their throat.
That is too funny. Onside kick.
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't like a joke, Joe. You know how you're kind of like, you say stuff, Joe? It wasn't.
Right, let's do it. Like, come on.
Well, let me tell you my experience from Sunday, right? We went up 24-0, and a guy that's a friend of mine and works for me actually texted me, and he said, hey, you guys are killing us. We suck. I said, give it time. You'll come back. That was my response. I was expecting a comeback.
Right. And you got one.
They made it interesting. Woo.
All right, Craig.
Craig
Snyder on Twitter just tweeted in. He says this, pretty sure, and you can follow him at To Him Be All Glory, or AKA To Him Ball Glory. Pretty
and
sure
by the way,
that
he's a great follow.
Yeah, he really
awesome follow.
Yeah, he's a former coach himself at the collegiate.
Oh, wow.
Level. Yeah.
Okay, so look, well then this is, you guys can explain this to me, because all I am is just a Panthers fan, He says, pretty sure they also installed a 30 front of 3-3 blitz package, and that was effective. So what does that mean? A 30 front with the 3-3 blitz package. Are you sending 3 blitzers?
Right. In addition to the 3 down linemen. So really, you're setting 6 players. It's just not 4 linemen and 2 linebackers or something. It's 3 and 3. And then you got man coverage everywhere else.
Does this show anything to what JP was writing with the idea of how the Panthers
could use
could benefit from that type of quick, fast pass rusher who's not a true defensive end? I guess is that how we try to use Mario Addison?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes. And
I found out what Mario Addison's problem was, and the problem is in this game.
What's that?
I know why he can't be a starter, why he's hit his ceiling. That dude has no motor.
Oh no!
If you throw back-to-back plays on him, there was a play where he rushed and he got past the left tackle. Well, he didn't get past him. He kind of got off block to the side, but he had beat the tackle anyway because the tackle pushed him off to the side, and he kind of went over pursuit. You know what I'm saying? But the tackle was in front of him now. Carson Palmer holds on to the ball and runs laterally to his right. And when I say run, we're talking about Carson Palmer running.
So it's the loosest sense of the word.
It was as close as it was about what you would call my wife's great grandfather when he walks. We call that walking. And Mario Addison was gassed, and he didn't even try. He could have, if he had gas left in the tank, he could have just shot straight, recomposed himself. He kind of, what I would say close to, and I don't like to say it, but it felt like a little give up. Like, I'm just out of I gave it all on that.
Just tell him to not go on WFNZ and admit that he was out of gas because he will be out of here.
He will be cut in a record time.
Just ask Sticky Wiki.
I did see this, is that for everybody talking about how great Worley was in this game, if you notice when we went into to prevent defense, that's who they targeted.
Yeah. He's a rookie.
They go after. Yeah, he is a rookie. I guess that's the key. Is it him or is it the rookie?
He's a 5th-round rookie. I mean, you're going to pick on the guy.
Yeah, well, you're going to see if he really can play in this league or not. And I think he held his own, I would say. He definitely held his own, but he's a rookie. So,
I mean, that's good. He's growing.
Yeah.
He's growing. I'll be happy with that. I saw Matt Craig on YouTube earlier said at the beginning of the show, the stadium atmosphere felt like vintage 2015. He went to 10 games last season, and he said that's what it felt like there. I think it felt like that watching the game.
Yeah, it did.
Cam Newton wasn't particularly great. I mean, I thought Cam Newton was good in this game, but the stats would not indicate that he was great.
His rushing was good, right? I mean, He picked up some big first downs running more than I think he has all year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like he's getting more accurate? I feel like it's there. I feel like it's getting there. I still think the drops are there.
I think he's getting what I call cerebral. He's
starting to recognize.
Yeah, he's taking what the defense gives him.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's that run or the deep ball or the short intermediate or the drop off, what have you. I think you're seeing a maturation to another level, and it's not necessarily going to translate to what we want it to right now, but I think it's another step in his maturation process.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting better, and we're going to talk about Cam. I mean, of course, we've got to give a little time to that topic, even though I am Cam fatigued, and I'm tired of really the outside noise. It has nothing to do with Cam Newton. So I'm tired of that outside noise, but I think we're finally getting I think what he said this week in the press conference has resonated throughout the league and with the league, and I hope we're going to see a change. But we're going to get to that. I did want to mention
I have a hot take on that. I'll save it for when we get to it, but I have a hot
the last couple of thoughts on this game. Okay, I got an email. Hold on. I got an email this morning and it was from, hold on. I get like 2,000 emails a day, not in our email box for this, for our show, from actual work email. So this, I mean, it's crazy. It's not that many. I'm exaggerating. Joe Rolls, he sent me a message and emailed, and thanks, Joe, for listening to the show, and thanks for sending us email. Anybody else can also email us at carolinacatchronicles@gmail.com. Joe, he mentioned, he said, I just wanted to pass along that he didn't say Joe's boy, but I'm going to say Joe's boy, Andy Benoit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Gary Gramling talked about the Panthers may be back on track in the latest Monday morning quarterback. I wanted to mention this. Part of their game, their discussion. Now, they didn't word it like this, but this is kind of how I interpreted it, though, is what they were interested in. Was this a Carolina Panthers good performance, a good game by the Panthers, or a bad game by the Cardinals? And Joey, I'll let you start there. We've heard incessantly the west to east trip. We've heard that they were coming off that brutal game, that 6-6 tie against the Seahawks. Is this the Arizona Cardinals struggling in this game, or is this the Panthers doing well, or a little of both?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think the Panthers were well rested, very focused. They came and played like they were motivated because they did have a bye. Arizona has been on they've had a tough 3 games. They've had to travel a bunch, and they were tired. I'm sure they were mentally fatigued as well as, physically. So I think a little bit of both, but 2 things. You can't discredit the Panthers because they really did play well. Being up 24-0, this is the NFL. You know what I mean? These guys are professionals.
In the first half,
right?
Just decimated.
Right. And then I think Arizona kind of got their act together. They made some adjustments, obviously, and made it a bit more of a ball game. Now, we said Carolina kind of switched their defensive mode. But yeah, you can't take anything away from either team. There were issues on both sides of the ball, and I think it was a chance for Carolina to get right, and they did, at least for this one game.
Mel, is this the Panthers playing well, or the Cardinals off their game?
I think it is a little bit of both, but you know what? If we would have lost, the conversation would have been that Arizona was in game mode and we were a little bit rusty, time off, right? So, the justification just kind of fits the means, at the end. But what I really think it is some teams have other teams' numbers. Arizona has not beaten us since 2002. I think we have their number.
No. They beat us Cam's rookie year.
Well, in Charlotte.
In Charlotte. Okay.
Yeah. But even that game.
Yeah. Was that in Arizona when they beat?
Yeah.
But even that game, he threw for 400 yards, and it was a shootout. But, it
was.
In Charlotte, they have not won since 2002. And I think we match up well against them. I think that quarterback does not move around well. And,
no.
And I don't know. We just match up very well. So I think it's a little bit of that. But, hey, I think we found our identity. We did some self-scouting.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more that the Panthers are playing well because they were on a roll. They had won 3 in a row. They had not given up a touchdown in 2 games. Think about that. That's pretty amazing. And then they come in here and we put 30 on them. And we put 8 sacks.
I don't know if it was on the show last week or on the sports bar on Friday that I mentioned this, and where I mentioned that kind of have their number, and that we have done this to the Cardinals in the last couple of years, and it seems like, one thing I think it is I don't think Carson Palmer's all that great.
Well, that's a start with.
I think it's really, and we can say age and all of this. He did have a slight resurgence when he came to Arizona, but he crumbles under any sort of pressure to me.
Because he can't move. He's mobile. He's like a statue.
He's streaky. When he gets hot, and if he gets protection, he'll carve you up.
That's for sure.
But when you start getting 8 sacks, he falls apart.
Mario on YouTube says, talk about vintage. Mel with the landline.
Yes, sir. That's the second comment tonight. Susan put out there, yes, Panther Drafter still has a landline. Yep, I do. I'm guilty. And I tell you, evidence of living in a swing state during election season, that phone ringing off the hook. Survey at the
Oh, my God.
Do you know, I have my first landline, and I don't even think it works right, nor can I find we had to go buy a stupid phone.
Of course.
Because I haven't had one in 15 years. I haven't had a since 2003.
Right.
So 13 years, I haven't had a landline. I don't think we had one on 4th Street, did we, Joe?
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
That would have been the last time. That would have been the last time, at least I had one, was when we were roommates. Yeah, we had one. Okay.
On top of that, the only reason I have it is because it comes with my internet.
Exactly. That's why
I don't know my phone number. I never think to use it when I try to call people. It's insane. But okay. I think it was Carolina Panthers guy, speaking of having people's number. I like this. He said something like, we've won last 3 out of 4 or against the Rams. And we're 1-0 against the Rams under Fisher. Or with Cam. And I thought, well, 1-0. Boy, we do have their number. Okay, I do want to do this. Let me see. I kind of want to give you this. Let's see.
I just like doing it, man. Dab on them folks. Dab on them folks. And that dab on them folks. They like seeing it. Tell me what to do. Dab on them folks.
We need more of that, man. We need to get back to dabbing.
All right, we're bringing it back for this week. Even though I have listened to listener feedback, talking about people, when we're sensitive and we get defensive when people criticize us, and or not us, but people in general. That's how you react. And this happens when we first started on the show. That somebody mentioned, they said, your bits are kind of cheesy, and we would do breaking down the box and this and that. We were doing a lot of different stuff, trying to find our way. And I was like, man, we're doing the best we can. We're working. We're trying. This is us. And then,
we're fans. We're not experts. We're fans.
Yeah, you start to get more comfortable with your skin and things. And so people said, I had some people just go talk, just have fun. And so we don't do a lot of this anymore. But I want to bring on the dab on them pick of the week. Who's your dab on them pick, Joe? Who you got in this game?
I'm going to say the obvious choice, Saratulele.
Oh, you took mine, bro. Okay.
Yeah, man.
3 sacks.
3 sacks. And all kinds of pressure. Stuff in the run. He was key in bottling up Johnson. He was really key. That penetration into the backfield. Yeah, man. He showed up big time.
That foot's feeling good.
Mel, you were saying that David Johnson had only 24 yards rushing.
Oh, yeah, buddy. That was the big difference in the game. But you know what? On the flip side, Jonathan Stewart, who will get my dab on him.
Dang, you took mine.
Yeah, boy. He would have had 100 yards, except he had a 5-yard loss on a rush there at the end of the game, just trying to kill time. But ended up with 95 yards on 25 rushes. I tell you,
Worse.
when Stewart is on, we're hard to beat, man.
Yeah, man.
We are tough to beat.
You're right.
I think, I got a message. Speaking of, that's what I've been trying to think. I was like, I have at least 2 messages that I know I mentioned. I said we would talk about on the show. And I felt like it was his name he sent me a DM on Twitter, and it was, his tag is this. It is, hold on, it is at Digga, DIGGA _843, and his name on Twitter is Black Man in America. And he said to me, something to the effect of, will the Panthers bring Stewart back, or is the cap number gonna be a problem? And he was just referencing how important Stewart is to this team.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard for us to really recognize just how special of a player Jonathan Stewart can be because of the problems he's had with injuries throughout his career. But I would say this season, more than ever, I have learned to appreciate Jonathan Stewart and how good he is. Like, it's nothing extremely phenomenal. He's not putting up 200-yard games. But this team, he gets stuff when there's nothing there.
Right. And not only that, but he wears on that defense, man, because he is pounding and pounding and pounding those guys. He is just bludgeoning them. And
if he would have stayed healthy, he's like Ezekiel Elliott, like.
I'm better. I think if he could have stayed healthy, he could have been better. Because
Ezekiel Elliott blows dudes up, and Jonathan Stewart hurts people.
Yes.
And he's very underrated in pass protection, too. That's why
he's excellent in pass protection.
Because he's so
one of the
tough.
best in the league.
My thought is this is his last year. Now,
I don't think so. I think we get him for a 2-year deal. I think he goes, hey, the Panthers did me right. They paid me. I think Dave Gettleman hits him up with a 2-year contract, and it's not going to be any worse or better than he's going to get from anybody else. But my dab on him pick of the week, I bet you if you could pick a player who you would be most surprised on this team that I would pick the dab on him pick of the week, who would
Ted Ginn.
Tolbert.
It's Ted Ginn. It is Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn Jr. is my dab on pick'em of the week, and the reason being is
newsflash: hell has frozen over.
That is true. What I see is that if anything, I feel like Jonathan Stewart is so critical to the team, but I feel like that Ted Ginn is kind of a barometer of how well the offense is doing. If he is producing and having a game, I feel like it really signals that other aspects of the Panthers' offense is going well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're dead on, Tony. That is a great choice of word to describe him, a barometer.
Because he's not going to do great if you need him to do great.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe my Ted Ginn. It's been my thing is to talk about Ted Ginn for the last 3 years or whatever, for how long it's been. Even when it was the first year he was with us, but he had a productive game, and I think what that says to me is that at other positions you're wearing dudes thin. Kelvin Benjamin is drawing attention. Devin Funchess is drawing attention. Greg Olsen is drawing attention. And if those guys are making noise, even if it's not coming in direct production, that gives Ted Ginn space and opportunity to make plays. And it really says to me that Cam is also hitting those third and fourth progressions.
Exactly. Good point.
So to you, Ted Ginn, this may come once in a blue moon. Dab on them folks.
Out of instinct, you almost said ice up, son, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I started talking about blue and ice. And all right, okay. All right, let's talk about Cam. Cam Newton, again, multiple plays where there are questionable. I won't say one very tough hit. Calais Campbell goes after his legs. Not intentional, I don't think. Not a dirty play, but clearly a foul. Clearly a penalty. Everybody on the planet saw it. We saw it right there. We were watching it on TV, except for 5 people in the planet. 5 people in the planet did not see it. 6 people. And are there 6 judges, referees on the field?
Yeah,
I think I saw didn't a referee get hurt last night in the game? And they said they're going to have to go to a 5-man team or something like that. Whatever. The only people, zebras and referees, were the only things on the planet that missed Cam Newton. Yeah, and Cardinal fans going after the flag on the penalty, going after Cam Newton's legs. Again, he's Cam Newton. There was another time where he got brought to the ground after he threw the ball away. And it wasn't so bad and blatant that we needed to burn down the house over it. But it was, again, anything, it would have gone. It should have been a flag. Just should have been a flag. The way that they're supposed to be throwing flags on quarterbacks was supposed to be that way. Cam Newton, sharp-dressed man. Best tweet of the week, by the way, comes from Eli Apple's mama.
Ooh.
Who, by the way, I've said by the way 3 times in 2 sentences.
Nice.
Her name is Candy Apple.
No.
How perfect.
Shut up.
How awesome is that? That is a special Halloween treat.
It is.
And she does not work at a gentleman's club.
That we know of.
That we know of.
No, we do know that otherwise because she's kind of that sweet Christian woman.
You're right, she is.
She is a wonderful, very active on Twitter and so witty and funny and a
Candy Apple. I love it.
She's been on NFL Network and done some pieces with them, I believe.
How was she?
Good. She's very intelligent. You can tell that right away. And seems pretty knowledgeable about football. Very in tune with her son. You can tell she takes a lot of pride in how he was raised and how far he has made it.
Need more of that. That's awesome.
Oh, Terrence Murray on YouTube corrected me, and he is right. They did throw a flag on the Cam Newton, that one where he brought it down.
But did you notice that they threw it when they realized it would be an offsetting?
Offsetting, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
that's an offset penalty.
I'm telling you, there is a strong bias. It sucks. It's true. It's there.
So this is what. Speaking of Candy Apple. Candy said this was the best tweet. Looked like Cam was a former pimp that became a preacher in the pulpit after the game. I thought that was a pimp turned preacher. I thought that was fantastic. And, okay, so Cam Newton, after the press conference, expresses his frustration. He showed his frustration in the game. Well composed, I think. I think he showed respect after the game by saying, I'm sorry to the officials for being frustrated. But he is getting to the point where he declared he does not feel himself safe in the pocket. Now, he clearly said, look, it's one thing. And I think he misspoke. And I'm not going to let him slide or anybody else when he says it's not the hits to the head, it's when I'm in the pocket. The hits to the head are inexcusable too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want Cam I don't buy into this narrative just because you're running that people are targeting you very high.
Right.
That's just okay because you're a runner. It may not be illegal all the time, but people tackle him differently than they tackle other people. I think that's just because he's a giant man and they don't know what to do, like how to tackle a guy like that. You don't really that often have to try to tackle an offensive player that could be as big as a defensive end. But he didn't get a flag. He comes out and says that he's going to be speaking to Roger Goodell on this matter.
And they spoke today.
And the typical fallout has come about this, Joey. What do you think that went down in that conversation?
I think Cam probably had a great opportunity to voice his displeasure. You know, how he feels he's being ignored, basically, because I'm sure during the game he's like, "Ref, what's going on? You know, these guys are hitting me low. You know, they're hitting me in the head, and why aren't the flags coming out?" So he feels like he's being ignored, and I think he probably told Roger Goodell just that. You know, I'm petitioning with these officials to please keep an eye on this, and nobody's doing anything about it. You know, and it's really a shame because, I mean, I've seen Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady say stuff about getting hit low and about late hits, and their appeals do not fall on deaf ears. They're listened to and they're heard. Well, Cam, his complaints fall on deaf ears. So there's definitely a bias. Clearly, there's a bias.
Mel, the Ron Rivera has often cited this, the Shaquille O'Neal effect.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because that is bias? Maybe not a bias as much as the lack of, I guess, compassion or
there's
liberalness with the flags, because he is such a tough guy. And that he doesn't like break when they do these things to him. And like Cam has mentioned, you know, that the NFL hasn't seen anything like him before. But it's pretty clear that a lot of flags, I feel like this, if we were watching other teams, and you can call me whiny or whatever, that you sneeze at the guy. The wrong way. You look at the quarterback.
Tom Brady, in particular, Tom Brady, you just got to think about doing something to him, and they would throw a flag on you.
Yeah.
Just think about it.
And he's a guy that in the post-game interviews drops F-bombs and gets really pissed off but never catches flack because he's Mr. Pretty Boy.
Yep.
That's my hot take. You know what? It pisses me off that because he's Mr. White Guy, Mr. Pretty Boy, Mr. All-American, he can go out and show his ass and drop F-bombs and still hit no type of repercussions. But Cam Newton, because he has a little bit of ethnic flair to him, he's going to get league-wide and countrywide, nationwide criticism. I've heard it from people that I know tell me, oh, he's dressing like a pimp. How come he can't be straight and buttoned up like a Peyton Manning or a Tom Brady? And that pisses me off. It's because the dude has his own style and his own flair, and because he is 6'5", 250, and because he did come out and say, if you don't like me dancing, stop me. Because he says that makes it okay for people to take cheap shots at his knees.
Right.
No, it does not.
Right, and what's it going to take? Is it going to take him tearing an ACL before they go, oh, you know what, he's right?
They would say he deserves it.
Right.
Lynn on Twitter said that Calais Campbell apologized several times.
He did, profusely. He did.
And we know it wasn't intended. The thing is that once you get people falling around the feet in a tackle in motion, it's supposed to be a flag. And that was started when Carson Palmer's career, when he tore an ACL,
right?
I think in Cincinnati. That rule came about because of that very thing, like a decade ago.
And Tom Brady.
Many have heard that on Monday Morning Quarterback.
Tom Brady was playing against the Bengals.
Yes.
And a defensive lineman got through and was, going in the motion of trying to sack him, or ended up going low and blew his knee out. He missed that entire season. That's the year that Matt Castle came in and took the team to a 10-6 record, and they didn't make the playoffs. I think that was the last time they didn't make the playoffs.
That made Matt Castle a lot of money.
Right, and that's when that rule really got they took a really hard look at that rule and decided to make that a penalty.
I heard, what is his name, Mariucci? Steve Mariucci, who is on the player safety committee. Commission, and he came on the Rich Eisen NFL show, and he said that they're listening to Cam. they're hearing Cam and what he's saying, and there's a lot of credence they're giving to that.
Good. I hope so.
Now, a couple of things, though, that bother me about this is all of a sudden, well, first, let's just not, for y'all people that say we're just being whiny in the world, and I know those people don't listen to this show, right? So I'm just talking to nobody at this moment.
Mhm.
But those people, this is not something we just started crying about.
Right.
We've been
This
saying
is-
this for years.
Yeah, and so let's not act like that this thing with the Ed Hockley, there is a history of that. Going back to Ed Hockley denying that Cam Newton's that he said Cam Newton's not old enough to get that call.
Right.
You know, so it's not a new thing. And then the other thing that really bothers me about this is two stories come out, where one story comes out from Pro Football Talk, where
that pissed me off.
they cite that the NFL is going to reference that other players. So, like, the NFL tracks when they make mistakes, and they acknowledge those mistakes by filing a report that nobody reads after the fact.
Right.
It's very similar to this, is what the NFL does. Is so if we give any credit to the NFL for making, like, just saying, yeah, we blew that call, like, does that make anything better?
Nothing.
Does anybody follow up on that? Is that a story? It's
Shouldn't they
similar to someone.
Fine an official. Shouldn't they fine officials? They don't.
Yeah. They should, or at least we should be allowed to criticize. Let's not act like it's off limits. If you can
Right.
criticize a player for having a bad press conference, if you can criticize a player for having a bad game, we should be able to be critical of the refs without fear of fines and penalties. Now, it's very similar to this. What the NFL does is they're going to reference that there's other quarterbacks other than Cam. This is what Pro Football Talk said, that missed more calls, that they've missed more calls against than him. So, like, this isn't a Cam thing. This is this happens. That's very similar to when you get arrested and then later found not guilty, dismissed or whatever, but your name has been run through the newspaper. Your face has been put in the Jailbird magazine. And that said, and all that does is leave an impression of, like, this person. It just tells the world that they were arrested, but we don't run the reprint in the front page story that those people were innocent. So don't act like putting it in a footnote 2 weeks later is really like you acknowledging any of this. The idea is somebody's got to go to these people and say, Cam Newton may be big and strong. He may run often the more you see. But this guy is the lead. This guy right now in a league where ratings are fallen substantially, and that has been the talk of the town. He's the next generation. You better not lose him.
Yeah. And it's also like saying, hey, sorry, we screwed up, but we screw up way worse with a lot of other people. That's exactly what they're saying.
Right.
They're saying, hey, we didn't just screw you over. We screwed everybody over, so quit whining.
Right. You're not the only one we make mistakes on, is what they're saying. We make mistakes on everybody.
And those guys are all white. So let's take this black thing.
Yeah.
That's what they're really saying, right away.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So, yeah. And let's but what I want to do is just mention, what did Cam talk about? Cam just talked about accountability, more accountability for the refs. And I don't know if it's necessarily fines because, yeah, you know what I mean? It's tough to officiate. Like, you don't, but I think what you've got to do is be more proactive in just saying, look, Cam Newton, we've really screwed up with this guy. And just cite the Denver game. Like, you guys can't be as aware. I mean, you just got to be aware of this. There needs to be a sit down. What Cam Newton is called for, and also Josh Norman called for full-time, full-employed referees. Would that make a real difference?
I'll do it.
Not me. I'll be throwing flags every time they're out there roughing the passer. Run the passer. Don't touch
They were
my
running the
face.
ball. How can it be a roughing the passer?
Hit to the toe. Hit to the toe.
27 guys hit Matt Ryan. I didn't see nothing. Nope.
I saw this. Is that in the Panthers game something happened and one referee, I swear, threw 2 flags. And I didn't know you had 2 flags. He went like this. He went, shoot, shoot. He was
I thought
like,
I threw his hat. Yeah, I thought a guy, he ran out of flags, threw his hat.
all right. I didn't follow the Josh Norman story as closely as I wanted to. Josh Norman blew up after the game, going on against the referees. Somebody, I think I saw in the YouTube comments, were saying something that he didn't feel sorry about the Panthers 1-5 start or something like that. Is he still talking about the Panthers? Has anybody heard anything that? I haven't.
But
That was
you
the
know,
first I had
if
heard.
I were him, I wouldn't feel bad for the Panthers either. I mean, why would he?
No, he doesn't care. He's making his $15 million this year.
Yeah,
Panthers,
and
Panthers
he's been playing very well.
Panthers
I
should
think
have
he's
paid
been playing well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
we
making
should
over
have.
$1 million a month.
True. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. How's that for perspective?
I'll put it in perspective. Another guy that made $1 million a game was Greg Hardy, who I heard was being sued for not paying the leases up on his Ferrari and Bentley.
What an idiot.
I mean,
Man, I
he's gonna
bet
be
you he blew all that money.
You can't fix stupid, man.
He's broke. Man, that's like one of the sad stories. And not him being sad, but like kind of the sad story of people who get an opportunity to do something, change their lives and maybe the lives of their entire family line.
Yeah.
And just ruin all of it.
Yeah.
And, so you know what is that? While I do want to be just trash on the guy, I do want to have some compassion in this. Is like, go to Jesus, brother.
Yeah. The only thing you can do now, man.
All right, quickly,
get it together.
let's talk about this Rams game real quick. Rams, they stink. If
Yeah,
we
the
can't
Rams,
win this game,
Yeah.
They have a better record than we do.
Yeah, the Rams have been playing well within their division, but they can't beat anybody else. So,
and also they stink. Like, their record may be better, but they are not good.
right, their quarterback is a major issue. They have major quarterback issues. Case Keenum is horrible.
There is one little hometown.
Oh, he's a kill him.
There is a hometown North Carolina boy that is really good that plays for them, though.
They are. He is.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I heard right away. I saw a story this year already come out. L.A. Rams wasting Todd Gurley's career.
It's such a shame, man.
Hey, L.A. Yeah, we should. Like, come on next year. And L.A., let's realize this. It just turns out that it wasn't the city that was the problem. It was not the city that was all right. So is this game plan the same as it was against the court? Actually, this team, it should be even more focused. It's hold Todd Gurley to 24 yards, right?
And then blitz the heck out of whatever the quarterback is. What's his name? Is it Case Keenum?
Case Keenum, I think.
Yeah, blitz the heck out of him and then make them go to the rookie, and then you can just light him up.
Shaquette is sitting there talking about how Robert Quinn is a former Tar Heel. Nobody cares about them.
He is. He's actually from Somerville, just up the road from where I live here.
Yeah.
And, yes, the Rams running back is very strong. He is from Tarboro, which is 20 minutes away from where I live, which is pretty awesome. All right, so you want to just throw out predictions for the game real quick? I don't really have a ton to say. I will ask you this then about the game, and this goes back to the question about the Monday morning quarterback. Is this game, this win, is this signal of a second life, a second wind in this season? Wind, not win, a second life, potential opportunity, or should we just sit here and just go, let's get one Sunday at a time?
Yeah, I think we definitely need to temper our expectations still You know, the win against the Cardinals is a good win. To beat the Rams, I would say should be expected. I hate to say that because this year has not been anything we expected. But
No, you're right. You're right.
we're much more talented than they are at several positions. I'd like to think our coaching staff is better. I'd like to think that our coaching staff is better.
Because what's his name sucks.
Yeah, Fisher. Yeah,
Yeah.
he leaves a lot of questions in my mind too. So yeah, let's if we get the win, I'd like to see us get a win. That's definitely a step in the right direction, and I think with the win, we can start to see a flicker of life, just a flicker of that fire. It's not a flame yet. It's just a flicker.
Lynn says one Sunday at a time. I'm there too. Is that I just want to feel. I have this weird, terrible theory about the Panthers, and it's just so deflating. And that is, we do well in years where there are no expectations, and we do poorly in year where there are expectations.
And that's a sad commentary.
It's true, though. I mean,
It is.
think about this. You go to the Super Bowl in 2003, next year, dud season. Yep. 2011, the Panthers get 6 wins, triple their win total. We got 6 wins in Cam's rookie year, right? Isn't that the right number, or was it 4?
I think it was 6.
I think it was
6.
Yeah, I think so.
And then Ryan Khalil comes out and puts an ad out.
Mm-hmm.
And the Charlotte Observer.
Lose the Tampa Bay opening week.
Yeah, and that we're going to win the Super Bowl, and just terrible. You go out in 2013, we go 12-4. 2014, 2013, you go 12-4 the next year. Tough year with all of that. 15-1 last year. Go to the Super Bowl, all that jazz. I really, and I know people are going to be like, you were lying. When the excitement and the confidence was just exuding right before the season started, I got nervous.
Yeah, but you thought we were gonna be awesome. We all did.
Mm-hmm.
No, I do believe that, but I really, for some reason, we play better when we're not.
Your point, yeah, absolutely right.
Whatever you want to call it, bulletin board material. You want to call it chip on the shoulder. Even this, I think that you even saw that when we went into the Super Bowl game. I think we started to buy in, and the Panthers started to drink the Kool-Aid so much that it was deflating. So I am one Sunday at a time. Yeah. Now, what is your, on this one Sunday, what do you expect to be the outcome?
Well, this is a team.
Make your pick, sir. Make your pick.
Well, this is a team, the LA Rams, that are scoring 17 points a game, and they're giving up 22 points a game. So you're right. They are not very good, but the Panthers have proven it's not about their opponent. It's about themselves. And if they can control their turnovers, if they can be disciplined, if they can get some pass rush, if they can not get the penalties, they can beat anybody in this league. We could have beat Denver hands down. But we can also lose to anybody in this league. Look at what we did to freaking stinking Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. So it can happen either way. And you know what? I picked the Panthers for the first 6 weeks of the year, and we went 1-5. I picked against them last week. We went 1-0. I went 0-1, right? So I'm going to keep that tradition alive. I'm going to say that we're going to come out.
Mel's 0-2.
So I'm going to say we're going to come out and struggle, and we're going to lose 0-40.
Jeez.
So hopefully that will give us a mojo, turn it around.
I might have to reconsider my ice up pick. Joe, what's your? You said 0. You're losing by 40.
No, I said 0-40. Let me give you a realistic.
I know. Yeah, give it to me.
I'm going to say 27-24 Rams.
Okay. Joe, Lynn points out that the Rams are coming off a bye week.
Right.
Where Jeff Fisher continued to stroke his mustache in a very creepy,
pervy kind of way.
Yes. Like That dude is the guy. You know when you drive past those like weird adult bookstores that are on the highway, and it's like, and you're on the road trip, and everybody looks right, and it's like 10:30 in the morning, and there's like 3 cars there.
Mm-hmm.
One of those is Jeff Fisher's.
Exactly.
And don't forget who their defensive coordinator is. Never forget that dude.
Greg Williams?
Yes, sir. King of the Bounty Gate.
Yep.
He's Jeff Fisher's pimp.
Yes.
Okay, Joe, coming off the bye week, they're in LA. They may or may not have been making some porn videos in their spare time. What is your prediction for this game?
I think Carolina goes out to the West Coast and plays well. I think they play well. They're focused and they get the victory. And the score will be 31-14. No, 31-10, Carolina.
I like that. I am going to say this. The Panthers win 27-13.
Nice. I hope you're right.
Back on track, 2 wins in a row. All right, guys, it is already past time. 11/11, my favorite number. That is the day I was born and the time I was born. So let's get into my favorite part of the show, the Ice Up Picks of the Week. Yes. And mine is going to be long and meandering, as usual. So, Joey, would you like to start, or would you like to pass the baton to Mel?
Yeah, Mel, go ahead, please.
All right. Well, Sergeant Pepper decided to join me here. He felt so strongly about this Ice Up Sun pick that he wanted to get in on the action. But talking about Cam Newton and all the haters out there, and I gotta thank Missy Russell for passing this one on to me. I want everybody out there who's watching to go out and follow this guy, or at least follow him for a moment and comment to him. But former NFL executive. He's the former president of the Tennessee Titans, former GM for the Minnesota Vikings, which, by the way, have both gotten a lot better since he's left. Just saying. Mm-hmm. But Jeff Diamond, at Jeff Diamond NFL. Did you see his tweet?
Also a porn name.
Yes, Jeff. Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, did you see the guy's tweet that he put out?
No. I don't follow porn stars.
Well,
Sorry.
Jeff Diamond, he put out a tweet, and he also wrote an article for sportingnews.com, pretty reputable organization, right? And he goes on and he says, Cam Newton's latest self-absorbed press conference reminded me of the 3 MVP winning quarterbacks with whom I worked during the NFL management career, and how different by far more classy they were compared to the Panthers quarterback. And I'm not just talking about the atrocious pink suit and green hat that Newton wore on the podium.
I thought it was pretty fly, man. I thought that damn suit was fly as hell. So shut up.
I did too.
But that absolutely feeds into what I was talking about earlier in the show when I was talking about, somebody who is different than the guy that your neighbor, different than yourself. He can pull off the Pink Panther look. And, hey, I like the Pink Panther, right? You might want to trademark that. But Pink Panther with the green hat and the feather. And the dude can carry himself in a different way than I can, than anybody else can. But that doesn't make him any less classy, any less anything than anybody else. And for this guy to say, oh, he's just Mr. Pimpster and he's just whining. As Missy Russell said, you need to get to know what Cam Newton really stands for before you go out there and espouse this hatred out and start depersonalizing him. Because this dude is a lot of class and does a lot of good for a lot of people. And for him to just go out and throw it out there and to say he doesn't deserve protection because he's Mr. Pimp Suit, I think Mr. Jeff Diamond needs to have a few folks come out and point it out to him. Thank you. Thank you. I'm assuming you're referring that to Mr. Jeff Diamond as opposed to...
Hell yeah. Right. I know. But who are these 3 quarterbacks he's referring to?
Well, I'm assuming, I don't know. I'm assuming since he's working for the Titans and for the Vikings, I think he's talking about Dante Culpepper. He's talking about
sucked.
Yeah.
Small corny hands. Small freaking corny hands.
Yeah.
Randy Moss, thank you very much. Next, who's next?
I'm going to go with Mr. Hasselback for the Titans. Maybe.
Yeah, that dude's a dick. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, and not only does he is one, he looks like one. All right, next, last one, and God help me because I'm about to sin here. But before you start calling out class on something, talking about a guy that everybody loved. What's his name? The other quarterback.
I don't
Steve
know.
McNair, right?
McNair,
I'm guessing.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Can I reference something? God rest Steve McNair's soul. I hate to talk junk about a dead man. I ain't talking about him, but you're talking about a guy being a pimp. You're talking about class and this and that. When you're talking about also and referencing a guy that was killed, murdered by a girl that he was sleeping around with on his wife.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. So it wasn't just a girlfriend. It was a lunatic side piece.
Right.
Now, that does not excuse her behavior, and nor is that a negative comment on Steve McNair. But, like, shut the fuck up.
Yes.
Just mind your own damn business. As Jesus would say, he wouldn't say SFU, like I just said. But he would.
Jesus would say,
don't throw some damn rocks in a glass house.
That's right.
I mean, so to you, sir, Jeff Diamond, in your I would say go ride Jeff Fisher's mustache.
But for this show, we'll just say go ice up, son.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. All right. Okay. I got to cool down because I got to get into my ice up pick. Is that my ice up pick is coming out of.
I was going to say, let me go, and then that'll give you a chance to come out.
Yeah, go, Joe. Go.
I'm going to be, mine's quick. It's Kevin Green, man. Kevin Green went on somewhere. I don't remember if it was on TV or if he.
You mean the former Panther?
The former Panther was talking about Cam Newton needs to stop complaining.
What?
And what bothers me so much.
Oh, wait, not former Panther. Let's please say former wrestler.
Former wrestler, former Packer, former Steeler. What makes me, former 49er, what makes me the most upset is the fact that I know when when Kevin Green played, he was one of the biggest complainers on the field. Complaining about chop blocks and being held and always complaining to somebody about it. So for him to sit on his high horse talking about stop complaining, he needs to ice up because that's all he did while he was on the field playing defense, was do nothing but complain. So Kevin Green, get off your high horse and ice up.
At Scylla H says, or AT Scylla H, I still haven't figured out which one it is, and I know he's told me once. He said that Kevin Green pissed him off, so I guess he was saying this right when you were about to throw out the ice up. And he said that Cam need to stop bitching and pony up.
Yeah.
He said those words?
Yes.
Wow.
Come on, the damn C3 podcast.
Yeah.
Kevin Green. I will hit you in the face with a chair. And we can fake it because I don't want to really fight.
We will throw a dildo at you, just like somebody did at the Buffalo Bills game.
Did you see that mess?
That was
it real? Was it really that?
Oh, there's no doubt about it, bro. No,
it was the best. Somebody put out did you see the tweet that I retweeted there, where it was like Tom Brady going, "Where's my dildo at? Where's my dildo? Where's my dildo?" And then all of a sudden,
on the field, that was so good.
Oh my gosh! Oh, that was amazing. How the heck? That is awesome. Is that
the best way to tell the New England Patriots, go F off?
Why have I not thought of this before?
Really?
That is what I'm saying. I'm going to ice myself up for not throwing dildos on the field. Shaked just sent a message 9-2 Cubbies up in the night. That did score. Nice. He had another. He said he's catching fire. I should also ice up Bill Voth for this. I'm going after media lately. Bill Voth, I saw tweeting in games 1 through 3 talking about how Chris Bryant, he said, missed opportunities when he came up. Well, Chris Bryant has made your ass pay the last 2 games, hasn't he? Right? But here's my ice up pick. It kind of goes, it's kind of a dual pick, and it goes partially to, these are 2 Charlotte media members. One is Morgan Fogarty. And every time I look at you, outside of the blonde picture that looks so two-dimensional. How do you get a picture that looks so two-dimensional? I don't know. She is looking straight at that camera. I mean, there is no off a little bit. Straight. But Fogarty, I'm thinking, wasn't he wasn't Creedence Clearwater Revival. Who was he?
Ron Fogarty.
What band was he in? Was it Creedence?
I think so.
CPR, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well done, Tony, for pulling out. That's what I always think of when I see your name is like classic rock.
Yeah.
So after I guess it was Ron Rivera's press conference on Monday where he comes out and he says that he supports Cam Newton and all of this. And Joe Person asked Ron Rivera, as usual, the kind of 2 most, I don't know, is that the questions that are meant to stir the pot the most, right? And he has done this. I feel that I'm starting to see a pattern in this. Mm-hmm. And that is that I find, like, I remember one interview with Dave Gettleman, where Dave Gettleman kind of like chastised Joe Person for asking those types of questions in the press conference. I just feel like I just continue to associate his name with this very, I don't know if I'm ready to call it sensationalism or sharp journalism or whatever it is, but this is all he asked Ron Rivera. This was his question. It was kind of it's a yes or no type of question, which those questions are trying. When you ask somebody a yes or no question, I don't feel like you're genuinely, if we were in a legal court, in a courtroom, that's what you do on cross-examination. And in cross-examination, you never want to not know what the answer is. You want to know exactly what the answer to the question is. And if you don't know what it is, you shouldn't ask it. That's the number 1 rule, right, on cross-examination. Yep. So they're yes and no questions, and you can't do this on a direct examination. You're supposed to ask opening questions. This is what he asked Ron Rivera, something to the effect, and I'm sure that he'll say, well, I didn't say the or and. It's like talking with my wife, and I'm like, you said this, and she would be like, I did not say a Cadillac. I said the Cadillac. But he said to Ron Rivera, he asked him, he said, do you think the NFL treats Cam Newton unfairly? And you could see the disdain on Ron Rivera's face. It was an aggravated question, and Ron Rivera said, I think that Cam Newton, the reason that these flags, he redirected, he pivoted the question, he answered it perfectly. So after this, I just heard Joe Person's name. I heard this. I tweeted this out. I said, Joe Person has to have asked the questions most disliked by coaches and players this season. Is this a sign? Is that a sign of good journalism or baiting? Now, I cannot lie that my hope and my thought behind this was that I tend to lean towards the baiting side. But I did ask a open-ended question, not a yes or no question, right? And the idea is this: did I accuse him of baiting? Did I tag him in this? No, because I'm not interested. I was not interested in trying to get myself publicity in this moment. I was not interested in trying to get a razz at a Joe Person in this moment. That's why if I would have, I would have tagged him in the damn tweet. But instead, I'm just trying to ask a question, very simple. It may not be one that's welcome, but similar to what he claims he's asked, what he asked these players.
Right.
So this lady by the name of Morgan Fogarty, Morgan Fogarty, we'll just call her CCR, the Silver Spoon, a.k.a. Silver Spoon. And she responded to me, I say good journalism, period. Curious, what is your criteria for baiting? Only asking dislike questions or other things too, ? And guess what she did?
Tagged him.
She tagged Joe Person. And then he gets into this, then she gets into this, and I answered her question. I said, well, and then, Joe Person responded to me to something to the effect of, he said something like, well, we know plenty about you because trolling behind my back.
What?
And I was like, all right, whatever. And I said, well, to name one of these questions, is that disappointed? Is this the most disappointed you've been lately? And then I said, well, this is, and I framed it, and I was under the impression he asked, is this the most disappointed you've been since the Super Bowl? And I will honestly admit I made that mistake. I've gone back and listened. But he said, has this been the most disappointing you've been lately? Which we all know what that meant. Since the Super Bowl. But, all right, he says, no idea what question you're talking about. Get your facts straight. And I said, I'm sorry. And then, you know what? Somebody chimed in right away. It was IG Panther Nation. He said he linked the video, and it just said 5 seconds in, right? Because it was a question. Well, he was upset because because he said, oh, well, I didn't say Super Bowl. Wait, thought there was a Super Bowl reference. That's what he mentioned. And then Morgan Fogarty is trying to essentially challenge me on this when I just tweeted out to the world, right? And Joe Person said, well, we know plenty about you. He goes on to get defensive on this. He said, I'm done here after I've only tweeted him one time. And he said, I'm done here. You want to come show me how it's done? Rivera has a press conference every day. I'm all ears. Joe, wow. I would be honored to come along with you. And I would love to see how a paid professional journalist does work. But Joe Riolano, who's my best buddy, he knows this. Tony's up for the challenge.
Oh, yeah.
I will get it. Like, you want to build a website? I want to figure out how to fix a damn car. Like, I'll YouTube that shit and I'll figure it out. So yes, I will. I will come along. But this is where I get really upset, guys. And I know this is taking a long time to get there, but the background was important. Morgan Fogarty asked me this. She said, with all due respect, I'm still waiting for what is your definition of baiting? And then I sent her a tweet that I sent her right back like 20 minutes earlier that said, I think that baiting is intentionally asking, this is my answer to her, which I asked, I should have hashtagged asked and answered. But I said, I would say asking a question that tries to pull a negative line out of someone intentionally is baiting, right? Not trying to get an honest response, but hoping for a negative response, hoping for him to say, yes, I think the league treats Cam unfairly. So I tweeted her this, and she goes, gotcha. Her response is this, gotcha, pretty vague. I thought that was actually a pretty good definition. I went and looked it up in the dictionary, and it wasn't that far off. And she goes this. I said, okay. I said, well, I said, sorry. What would you do to improve it? I said, what would improve it? ? And this is where she hits me up. She talks about me baiting, these people talk about me baiting, me being vague, me being specific, and all this, or vague and unspecific. And this is what she said. You're pretty vague. She said, let's discuss this via email if you want. Carving a pumpkin right now. Thanks for the debate. So don't come at me and try to say I'm being vague when your ass ain't said shit.
And she goes I'm carving pumpkin route. Mm-hmm.
Oh, whatever. And I'm not upset with these people. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not upset with Joe Person in this, but I truly believe it. And then these people that they get so defensive and so sensitive, but then they're crying. They are crying about when Cam Newton gets like this to them, or this and that. So shut up. If you can ask him tough questions, you deal with a question from me. And
What's
if
a better
you
way
have
to
enough,
What's a better way to put it? Instead of saying shut up, what can you say to him?
ice up.
Ice up, son.
Ice up.
Thank you. Mel said I got to get out of here. All right.
You're right on. Spot on, man. Good job.
But I mean, I look, all of the credit in the world to people. I'm not trying to come on their jobs and trash them. And I wasn't actually being overly critical. That's actually being tame for me. On top of this is that, like, don't get all sensitive, but then come down on your high horse and then act like we're the problem and all this when you just do the same crap.
Right.
You're just doing that. So to you, I say ice up. All right. Well, I guess that's it. It's 30 minutes over.
Sorry, guys.
No, man. Like, I'm not sorry. I was having fun.
Put
a feather in my cap. Put a feather in my cap. All right. I was trying to pull up some music, but my computer's freezing up.
All right, well, guys, you can find me on Twitter at Joe Milano. I'm the freaking Puerto Rican, and this has been the C3 Podcast. We're here every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. for your viewing pleasure. And really, we get just as much enjoyment out of you guys being part of the show, too. Thank you.
Mel Mayock, where can they get after you?
All right, you can catch me anytime on Twitter at Panthers Drafter. And then tomorrow night, the C3 Fantasy Football Podcast. Every Wednesday night, we break down who won what and what's coming up for the next week. Check us out tomorrow night.
My name's Tony Dunn. I'm the professor. You can catch me on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. I invite you to come on the C3 Podcast. Come on. Ask the questions. See if you can do what we do, which is bring that Panther fan flavor to discussion. We're not journalists. No, we're not. We're fans. So let Joe Person report, but we will retort. And we'll see you next Tuesday night, 10 p.m. on the C3 Podcast, CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Be there or be square.